They're not even talking to realtors at this point.
Yeah.
They're just in their minds thinking, what if we sold? What would we do? Where would we go? How much would we charge? Hey everybody, Davey Dog here, Dave Foster, Fontaine family, the real estate leader. I'm a full-time professional realtor in the state of Maine, and I use video-first marketing to help my sellers sell their homes profitably. And today, Davey's Doghouse is in Naples, Maine on Long Lake with my friends Dale and Lynne. And Dale and Lynne sold their home, closed early this year?
Yeah,
March.
we closed in May.
May.
Yeah. We were initially going to put our home on the market anyway sometime in 2020. We didn't really know when we were going to do that. David encouraged us to put it on the market sooner rather than later. Again, we knew we were going to do it at some point. We have this lovely place in Naples, and we were fortunate enough to have a place to move to. And we had a big old two-story home in Saco that we didn't need anymore, essentially, and essentially we knew again at some point we were going to put it on the market, and David encouraged us to put it on the market in March, which was a real godsend because we were thinking more the traditional time frame, April or May, and as it turned out, putting it on the market when we did, thanks to your recommendation, we had a ton of viewing. And we had a higher price than ordinarily we would have received because the market was limited at the time. So we appreciate that foresight on your part.
Yeah, and you never know in the market. People always say what's going to happen in the market, and we don't know. But there are indications, and we knew that the market was still strong for your type of home. You had a really nice home, very well kept in a very nice area, and so we knew it would attract a lot of people.
So we gave you a call and asked you to walk through the house and give us your opinion of things that we needed to focus on over the course of the year. And that gave us some thoughts about what to do when we were back home in the fall and finish up some things. And then you followed up with us in January and came back, did another walkthrough. We talked about some things we still could do. And you had great contacts because we were like, well, who does that sort of thing at the last minute? So we appreciate the contacts that you gave us to do some painting. And pretty much we were ready to go by March. So we didn't have to wait till May.
And then when we came to that spring in January and February and started to really nail down what you wanted to do for the price. And my recommendation was a little bit lower than what you wanted to do. And we ended up going with what you want to do because that's what we do. It's your choice. You're the seller, right? And you were right, dead on as far as that. We always find value in making sure we're not overpricing because you lose potential buyers by overpricing.
Mm-hmm.
But in the marketplace that was happening and the time that you were going on market, it seemed like that was a great price to go on at. So we went on at $400,000,
Mm-hmm.
and you ended up selling at $490,000.
Right.
So really motivated buyer in that case, but also I think a good marketing plan. And you guys did such a nice job painting the deck in the back, doing some landscaping outside, but just doing some touch-up paintings, ceilings inside.
Right.
So as far as when showings started happening, well, you got a couple of showings in. You had some feedback, no negative feedback, but were you nervous about the price when the offer came in and you went under contract? Were you nervous about actually getting to the closing table, and what was that like?
I don't think we were nervous about getting to the closing table.
Yeah.
Let's first of all acknowledge that moving is stressful regardless.
Yeah.
It was especially stressful for me because we had so many items. We had been in this home for 30 years and we were concerned about getting it all out and where to put it. A lot of these things hadn't even been seen. They had been stuffed in the attic, they had been stuffed in the garage or in the shed, and were infrequently used items and not highly used, so they were not, I didn't even know what was in some of these boxes, but nevertheless we had to go through it.
Some of them had sentimental value also.
A lot of emotion in this process, and you encouraged us to just step through it, just do it calmly and just get through it. And, we ultimately did that, and it worked out fine. But at the same time, it is an emotional process, and it takes some time, and we had the good fortune of having time to be able to do that because we're retired, and we wanted to give the new owners a leg up. And again, like you indicated, we tried to make the place as nice as we could. We think it was already in pretty good shape, but we again tried to do as many things as we could in order to give them a good start, because they were a younger couple.
Right. So there are a lot of people out there, sellers, who aren't ready to sell yet, right? So if I said to them, let's go, let's get listed, they're like, we're not ready yet.
Right.
They're not even talking to realtors at this point. Yeah. They're just in their minds thinking, what if we sold? What would we do? Where would we go? How much would we charge? What is the process that you go through? What if we need to find a painter? All these questions, or someone to do an estate sale and find places for all the stuff we have. They're in that mode. Right. And you were in that mode. Right. Right? Right. For a while. Yes. Right? So what were you doing? You looking on Zillow and Realtor and seeing what the prices are? And
I always followed the Maine listing. Yeah. For the properties in our community. And, for a while, because Saco is close by the coast and then it's rural, the coastal properties seem to have a time to shine, where they were very popular and getting a good price. And it took a while for the properties on the other side of the highway, the Route 1, where it was more rural or town or city, in the city area. And so I always watched to see when that transition was going to happen. Yeah. And it was starting to happen as people were coming into the state looking for properties to move to, and they're looking for a small town. They wanted to be close to town where they could walk to the grocery store or walk to a church or walk to schools. Yeah. And our property was right in a very school area, so it was a perfect location. But I had been sort of watching about where people were buying, and at first it wasn't in town. It wasn't in town or the rural areas. It was more the coastal properties that were seemed to be of interest. But then eventually it shifted.
And so when was that? Was that 2 years prior to selling?
Probably
you started to become aware of.
About the time we called you to say that, and then of course everything was going on with the pandemic, where just there was more buyers than there were homes. And
so that's what I find is that many times we as realtors can help guide people through a year, and a lot of times sellers think, I'll figure all this out and then I'll call a realtor. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think that's sort of, I try to get out there and just talk to people in a general way, not pushing that they should list, but pushing an understanding that maybe we can help them get to a point where they're ready to list or not. Right. And I think that seemed to be the model that happened with you guys, where you reached out to me, we looked at values, we figured out what might need to get done, and then you started getting work, and then we had a follow-up timetable, which I did, and then eventually you were ready to go. And I can tell you, you're not saying it, but there was a lot of emotion in just leaving the home. Mm-hmm. I remember times when you're like, we're not sure. We're not sure, But
we didn't necessarily want to leave Saco because it's where our lives were for the past 30 years.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Was there anything else about the process that you, not about me specifically, but about the process that you found intriguing or unexpected, but walked through, or anything else?
As far as the process goes, we've sold property before in our lives, so finding the right representative, seller representative, realtor, was important. And have interviewed people before, other realtors before, for other sales that we've done in the past with other family members. And what drew us to you and Fontaine was the fact that you had the opportunity to reach out beyond our bubble, meaning just the people in Saco who might be looking for a house. I mean, you with social media being such a key player in sales these days, that you want somebody that's going to put your house out to people who live beyond your scope of knowledge.
Right.
So I appreciated that. We had a great video.
Yeah.
We had an enormous amount of photos on our listing and a 3D picture, or whatever you call those.
Yeah,
3D.
360-degree tour.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah,
So we
yeah.
had that. So if somebody was got a ping that day that our house was on the market that day, they could immediately just look through that number of pictures and the 3D to get an idea of what the inside of the home looked like, and the video that you put together and walk them through the house so they could see it, which I think is such a benefit for somebody looking for a property, because you could actually, if they needed to, follow up with them and walk in and out of every closet with a camera, and they could see what they don't normally see in a still picture.
Right. It's like a magnet. Like, magnets have an attractive side and they have a repelling side. And so when you have a really robust marketing plan like that, including a walkthrough video, people can say, that's not really for me. And so you don't get burdened by showings that they're going to walk in and be like, nah, I don't think so. So it really cuts down on the stress in that way too.
Right.
By attracting people, you're also maybe repelling somebody who doesn't really want a specific thing about a house, which can be a benefit, through the whole thing. And,
Right.
so that's why I do videos for my listings, is because it's part of the full package, including the photos, the description, the 360-degree tour. But also that video really tops it off, and people want to see video now anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think the fact that we were able to do it in stages really helped us. It helped me personally, because again, I found the whole moving process to be very stressful. But we were able to do it in stages because you first prepare for photos, where you can sort of put everything in closets. It just has to be sort of out of sight, out of mind. You haven't gotten rid of it yet, but it's still there someplace.
The old
But
boots
It's in the
there.
garage.
yeah. So
Right.
nevertheless, you it's still there, but it's the house is prepared for photos at least. So that was stage one, and then you got to prepare for showings. Where you still may own some stuff, but it's sort of packed away, and then you ultimately prepare for leaving. So in those stages, those stages helped me tremendously. I think if you had to do it all at once, it would have been overwhelming. But the fact that we did it in stages, I think, was very helpful.
Well, I really appreciate you guys, obviously. We've been friends for a long time, but that doesn't mean that you have the trust in me to do this kind of work. And I totally understand that also, but I do appreciate that you did have the trust in me to do this kind of work. And I really enjoyed the whole process of it. It was really fun working with you guys.
Thank you.
And watching that transition, the mental transition and the anxiety, because it's brutal, you're right. By the time you get to the closing table, you're tired. You've done a lot of work, especially the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
so
we made it with about 15 minutes to spare. I mean, come on.
I know, right?
Shoving
It's the way
stuff
it
in the
always
car.
is. And that happens more often than not. It really does a lot. So,
Yeah.
But I appreciate that, and I wish you guys well. And I know that we'll have future interactions. I don't want to say transactions, but we'll have future interactions as you move forward. And
Right.
this is beautiful where you are, obviously, right now in your lives.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah. We're
And
very
for all of
fortunate.
you guys, don't forget, you can call on me if you'd like to talk about moving. It's never too early. There's a lot that goes on way before we start listing, but I want all of you to have a great day, and don't forget, today's the day. Don't dog it.